heart is worth more than all of that put together. I want to see young people value themselves. I want to see our generation teach young people to value themselves. I know my value because someone told me my value. Stop telling these kids they're worthless. They ain't gonna be nothing. If you see the path that they're going, that's gonna take them down, try to steer them clear of that path. Stop declaring their demise before they've had a chance to live. That's love. We gotta love each other, man. Our people gotta. That's all we got. We got in this world.
I
I'm
gotta recommend.
sorry. I don't want to get canceled, but nobody cares about us. We have to.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's your host, Drake B. Drake with Everythang Culture, the podcast for all cultures, the podcast with a purpose. And we're back with another Makings of You. And this morning, this afternoon, this evening, we have the pleasure of introducing Marvin. Marvin, how you doing today?
We're good, brother. We're good. How are you today?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Good.
Cannot complain. It's been a busy but beautiful day. Getting a little nippy around here, in the great state of
Oh,
Texas. But where you from? You got a different feeling though. So
well, I mean, we used to it up here.
exactly,
Just
exactly. But
don't stop no show around here.
oh, it would have. We shut down. Okay, we shut down. But we're so happy to have you on the show. Actually, Marvin was recommended by a previous guest, Octavia to be exact. And we finally got the opportunity to sit down to converse with one another and get to know Marvin in a more intimate way. Marvin is met him on once again through Octavia on TikTok, and he is can I say a confectionist?
You could say a chocolatier.
Oh, I've been saying chocolatier. He's a chocolatier,
Chocolatier.
and with the chocolate experience. And I want y'all to really check him out, get to know more about him, not only with his product and his craft, but him as an individual as well. But we're gonna do so through the makings of you. So Marvin, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Okay, first question. Marvin, how would you describe yourself?
How would I describe myself? Um, at times introverted. Um, I'm sort of like the introverted extrovert. Once I get to know you, uh, there's almost nothing's off limits at that point. But family man, married for 30 years, two children. That's a big part of my life. Uh, a man of what people say, a man of God, and I mean it in the truest sense. I don't play when it comes to my spirituality. I don't compromise when it comes to my spirituality. I'm a man of principles. I am, uh, through the grace of God, I believe a wise uh, person. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just an all around guy.
I
I'm
feel you.
I'm and not any talking of my own or any boasting of my own, but God has really gifted me in several areas. So yeah,
Listen.
that's Marvin.
Oh, hey, thank you for sharing. Marvin, what cultures do you represent?
What cultures do I represent? Wow. Uh Good question. Really good question.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for that.
because most people would just say black culture, but I think black culture is such a mixture of so many different things because coming over here, we lost what our culture was.
Talk
So
about it.
I, it's a mixture of things. What culture I represent? Uh, if you ask me that, I have to identify honestly with Hebrew culture. Um, yeah, Israelite culture is what I would say. We could say American culture, but I very loosely identify with the American culture. Um, it's too inclusive for me. There's no limits to it, and I think a person has to have limits and standards, and I don't think American culture really has any.
Speak on it. Speak on it.
You know, so yeah, Hebrew or Israelite culture for me.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So, Marvin, where are you from? What do you represent?
I am from the great state of Michigan,
Okay.
by way of Detroit City. I am from the D, through and through. No matter where I go, I make sure I have something that says Detroit on it. Um, that is where I'm from, man. I live currently in a suburb with my family, but I love Detroit. Detroit is my city. That's my home.
Wow. Well, awesome. Okay. I know we gotta wrap it up for that game, get started. But we're gonna continue. We're gonna continue.
We good, bro.
Do you mind sharing your age with us?
I am 53.
Um, Blessings. Absolute blessings, man. Wow. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wow. So Detroit, 53. Um, you know, you were Israelite culture and just an awesome man of yourself and faith and beliefs and family man overall too. So, do you mind sharing or how would you define your childhood and upbringing?
My childhood, uh, born to, Marva and Augustine Pop, uh, in Detroit. So I grew up with both parents in the home. I had one older brother. Um, I always say though that uh, he was he was the baby, or I put it like I was the baby, but I still was the oldest. um, one older brother who really I idolized a lot back in the day. He was like super athlete, and I was, the artistic one. I was music and singing, and he was football, basketball, baseball, track. I mean, and I tried to play sports. It just didn't come naturally to me. And I was good at basketball. I really was, but I had to work really, really hard. And he was like, very natural at it. But yeah, born to two parents living in the west side of Detroit, northwest side of Detroit, which was a pretty decent area. Um, Went to church all my life. All my life. I am a pew baby. Okay. My dad is just turned 85, and he
Wow.
is still a deacon at his church. Um, Mother just turned 83. So, then we have some Southern root as well, both of them from Alabama and Georgia. So, there's a little bit of Southern in me. There's a little bit of Detroit in me. Childhood though, upbringing, I could not have asked for a better one. I think my parents are the best two parents uh, this side of heaven. Um, there'd be no other two people that I would have asked to raise me, and that doesn't mean it was always great, but the love was always there. Uh, my dad was stern, and when he got quote unquote saved, um, he instituted some standards, and that was just it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
He was very strict, but in a loving way, in a protecting way. Didn't want you to get caught up in things that could be detrimental. And so, Dad was always, had a firm hand, especially I think on me because I was the youngest, and really, I was a daddy's boy. So, I think he really wanted to protect me and keep me from where a lot of my friends went,
The
thug
world.
culture. Yeah, thug culture, drug culture, uh, uh, premarital children, all that kind of stuff. He wanted to keep me from that. So he kept a tight grip on me. And I'm not mad at it one bit. So, yeah,
Shout out to Pops. Much love. Shout out to the family in general. I
absolutely.
love hearing like some of my most recent conversations been hearing a lot of positivity on that upbringing and connection with the parents still to this day.
Yes.
And it's amazing to
Yes,
still have your people here as well. I must say that that's beautiful to
it
have.
is. It is.
Cherish it.
I look at a lot of my friends, especially my high school friends, and a lot of them, losing their parents. So I'm just, cherishing every day with mine. Excuse me. And my parents were probably the older parents of the crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Great to have, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
Hmm.
So, Marvin, how do you feel about your education so far in life?
Do you mean life education or do you mean school education?
I'm gonna let you determine that.
I knew you would say that.
It's the makings of Marvin. This is all about
I
you. This
feel
is your
you.
show. I want you to know that this is your thing. I'm just
I
here
feel you.
asking questions. I'm here to
I
enjoy.
feel you, bro. As far as my education goes, I think for me because I did not grad, and I'll start with Scholastic. I did not graduate college. Uh, I went to college, but I decided to start working to try to pay some of my bills. And of course, you get caught up in that, and you don't get make your way back like you want to. So in that respect, I think I kind of shorted myself in that way. Um, and it possibly could have had an impact on my ability to earn. Um, but I know people who are degreed and work right next to me in what I do. So I can't necessarily say that. Um, as far as world education, seeing, learning, uh, I think it comes from all different places. Uh, you learn there's a place for street knowledge, street learning. There's a place for I've always had people kind of pour into me. I've always had people who saw something in me and just would drop nuggets of wisdom, and I appreciated it. So, and I try to incorporate as much of it as I can into my life. But not every piece of advice suits you and suits your situation. So some things you just, you kind of keep in on reserve. But um, for me, I think my natural inclination to observe my surroundings, observe the people. Like I watched the guys who were ahead of me, and I watched some of the pitfalls they faced and some of the choices they made. And I said, I can't make those choices. It didn't work good for them. So I don't think it'll be a good choice for me. Again, going back to that God given wisdom. Um, yeah, I've been, I don't want to say an open book because, like I said, I can't accept just everything, but, I've been a natural observer my entire life. And you kind of learn how to move in a way that's going to suit you better if you do that.
Absolutely understand and agree. It's the makings of Marvin once again, by the way, everyone. But yeah, that the education that we receive in numerous different ways when I ask that question is just really like, what have you learned in life and how do you feel about the things you've learned? So, and we learn it. And once you, as long as you live, I always taught, well, I always learned that you're going to learn. You should be learning.
Should be learning.
Always
Absolutely.
should be
Should
learning
be learning.
something, something.
You should be
Once
learning.
again. Thank you for
And you
sharing.
know what? And I think what goes with that is unlearning,
Mm,
because there's
mm.
some things that you're going to find as you go through life that you looked at it in a completely incorrect way,
Different perspective.
and different perspectives. And it's okay to unlearn some of the things that you learned, especially if they're not suiting you, progressing you, helping you grow. Um, it's okay to unlearn and put something else in that place. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Ooh, I can touch. We can get stuck right here for a minute and get really
Absolutely,
in
we
depth.
can.
But
Absolutely, we can.
we ain't here for that. We're here for you, the makers of Marvin. Okay. So, what was your first sense of responsibility?
Very first sense of responsibility, I think, in the third or fourth grade. Like I said, I had an older brother, and he kept losing his house key.
Man,
So finally, my dad said, uh, "Man, here, you keep the key from now on." you know, and so that really was like my first task. Like, it's your job to make sure y'all can get in the house when you come home, even though you have an older brother. And I think I may have lost the key once, but
I lose my
yeah, I mean,
keys
you're
occasionally to this day. So
man.
I'm
But
glad
I
they got the
mean,
codes
especially
now.
exactly when you were a kid, though, man. You tie that thing around your neck. You go outside and play. It falls off. You don't feel it. Or you put it in your pocket so it doesn't fall off your neck. Somehow it falls out of your pocket. You don't know. So kids lose things, but that would be my very first. It's up to you to do this.
And I would, you know, expand upon that's a big responsibility, especially for being in the eighth or ninth grade. Even though it's no big deal to us who had to do it. That was part of life.
Hmm.
But when you
Hmm.
think about it, when I talk to my peers now that we're in our 30s, and they like, I ask them like, "Do you feel comfortable giving your child the key to the house?" They're like, I wouldn't allow my child to cook bread, make toast, to give them the key to the house." I'm like, and I said, just imagine the type of responsibility that it was no big deal to do it because that's what we had to do to
Yeah.
survive. And
Yeah.
but that's a culture. And once again, we thank you for sharing because that first sense of responsibility is a big one. Um,
Hmm.
and touching on to that, like, so if you had our responsibility, we have our tasks and chores to do as a children. If you had any, how were you redirected as a child? How did your parents redirect you or discipline you?
Um, I tell you, my parents from the South, man, we got whoopings.
Mm,
It's
it's part of it. It's part of it.
part of it, man. We got whoopings. I got a. We by and large were good kids. We didn't get a lot. Me and my brother got into a fight. We got a whoop. You know, uh, for the most part, we were very sternly talked to. Um, but when that didn't work, we got tapped. It just is what it is.
That's
I don't
awesome.
think it did not create monsters in us. you know, because my parents knew the difference between whipping and beating. They knew the
Discipline and
difference.
abuse.
Yeah, they know the difference between discipline and abuse. There was that. There was taking away of privileges at times, telephone. And back then, it was a telephone in your room, not your cell phone. There were no cell phones. But we got our phones taken away, got our games taken away, all that kind of stuff until you came up. Um, I was in martial arts. My brother and I were both in martial arts, and we were progressing well. Probably halfway to our black belt, but my grades started to slip, and so my dad was like, "Okay, you're not going to karate anymore." You know, and if I wasn't going, my brother wasn't going because we were doing it together. So I think I ruined that for the two of us.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah.
not just taking one of y'all over there. It's either both of y'all or nothing. So yeah, that
That's deep.
you know.
That's deep right there. That's deep right there. Shout out to the peoples though.
Oh
Hopefully
yeah,
you
man.
hope you was forgiven for it. Oh my
I
gosh.
think so. I think so.
Wow. So Marvin, who has been the biggest influence in your life?
Ugh, I have to, by and large, say my father. And I've always been, like I said, a daddy's boy. Um, and it used to bug me when I saw athletes or celebrities, and it was always hi mom. And that's not to say anything wrong with mom, but I'm like, where's y'all daddy at that y'all not recognizing y'all daddy? My dad is probably still the single biggest influence on my life. Uh, I get my work ethic from him. Uh, I get my protective nature from him. Um, my dad was, like I said, educated in the South. He worked on a farm his whole life until he came up here. Until he went to the army, then he came up here with my mom, and auto worker uh, for 34 years, I believe. But when we were kids, he wasn't the best reader, but he read his Bible every day. And when there was a word or something that he could not pronounce, he always called me, and I got on my nerves. Marv. He wouldn't say Marv, he'd say Marv. Marv. M-O-B, like my friends would call me Marv. Marv, come in for a minute. Pronounce this word for me. And as much as I hated it, it really helped me form my ability to speak well because I'm looking at these names and I'm sounding them out purely by the sounds of the letters. You know, later on, I began to learn what the little hash marks and all of that stuff, how to pronounce with those. But uh, yeah, he would call us down. He made in the summers, he made us read a chapter a day and then tell him what we read in the Bible when he got home. Um, and so, he kind of formed my faith. Um, like I said, my protective nature. I've never seen him treat my mom in a bad way. So he formed how I treat my wife. Uh, Everything about me is a reflection, I think, of how he raised me. And that's not, I mean, that's good and kind of and some of the bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm my daddy's son. So, you know, um, yeah, and that's when I was talking about you got to unlearn some things. Some of the things I had to unlearn, but yeah, he is the single biggest influence on me.
Shout out to your pops, man. That's beautiful.
Absolutely,
And I know
absolutely, and
you
and moms, but
well, shout out to
I'll
both, of
double up.
course. But
Yeah,
you sharing your love for them, you give them their flowers. Then I
for
think that's a
sure.
beautiful thing to happen. Because I was going to point out when you say where were these guys' dads? I was one of those guys. Like, hey, he was in a different city, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And but unlearning that mindset because I used to be the opposite. I used to be when I used to come across guys in college or people I knew that had both their parents and they were not had the work ethic that I had or they had the knowledge that I had, I'm like, hey, you got your daddy in your life. How you feeling? You know,
yeah,
I was
yes, yeah,
real harsh on guys.
mm-hmm,
Like, if you got your
mm-hmm,
dad in your life and you can't pay this, you can't do this, you don't know how to change a tire, I was very rude and harsh to you, very abrasive.
yeah.
Just a little bit today. I got a little bit more grace. I've got a little grace in me. But if you had your
Got a little
dad,
grace now.
I used to say that was such being rich and wealthy is do you have your mother and your father in your life. You
Hmm.
should be like you should be winning. But when I was able to have conversation more with people, everybody didn't have a father who stood up and did certain things that helped them out in life. So
Yeah,
having both sides of that, I think, is absolutely necessary to understand. But thank you so much for sharing your
sure,
influences. Thank you for sharing your dad with us as well through this
absolutely.
conversation. So Marvin, what are your passions and how did you get into them?
Okay, my passions. Uh, in no particular order. Um, I've always loved basketball. When I was a kid, I grew up watching the old Georgetown with Patrick Ewing and John Thompson was the coach. And when Isaiah Thomas was drafted by the Pistons, I don't know. I didn't watch a Piston game until Isaiah Thomas was drafted. And I kept hearing about this little guy and how good he was, and he smiles the whole time. And so I started watching Isaiah Thomas. And if you see this, Isaiah, you my guy. But but yeah, basketball was like as a kid was like my first love. I mean, I loved to play basketball. Would play in high school probably 5 times a week. Never was quite good enough to make the team, but still loved to play. Um, Music is a huge part of my life. Um, I grew up singing in the choir, became a choir director at some point, actually sang in a couple of groups. Um,
Okay, okay. I'm learning
Yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah. I'm a man. I love good music. Like to me, if you can't sing live, you cannot sing. I don't care how many albums you sell. If you cannot sing live, I ain't got time for you. But
Respect
yeah,
it.
music is a big part of my life. My faith, I am very, very, very passionate, not only about my faith, but about teaching the word. I'm a former assistant pastor at one of the largest churches here in Detroit. I am a former Sunday school teacher. Uh, so and that's something that I don't that's part of me that if we're sitting having a conversation at some point, that's one of those things that's naturally just going to come out of me. You're going to say something and I can immediately relate that to something in the word, and we're going to have that conversation from a word perspective. So yeah, that is a big part of my life, big passion for me, sharing the word with people. And of course my business, the chocolate experience. uh Man, talk about something that you never intended to do that just becomes it's something that encompasses you. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I don't want to get too far ahead of the conversation, but the business is like it is. I love, love, love doing it. I love when I get a text like, "Oh my gosh, that was so good." I got a customer. There's a bed and breakfast that I supply with chocolate covered strawberries as a part of their romantic packages. And I got a text from them saying, "Yeah, we had a customer. She wants to know, can she contact you?" This is the text she sent us, and the text read like, "I can still taste uh, those chocolate covered strawberries from and they had them back in April." And she's talking about, I remember exactly how they tasted and all of this. So she wanted a bunch of stuff for the holidays for friends, but I love what that does for people. I love when people taste it. I love how it can bring people together. Um, I'm a people guy, if you can't tell. I love the business brings people just naturally together, you know. Uh, so that's a big passion. My family is a huge, huge. I love my family. I love my wife. I love my children. Um, I'm like love watching them grow. I love watching them achieve. Uh, Even now, like my wife is really, uh, she's hitting a stride of her own that is phenomenal for me to see. You know, just coming out of her shell. at this point in time in her life, and she's actually 5 years older than me. So to see her, uh, she's becoming very passionate about ministry now. So to see her like starting to flourish, and she was like very standoffish from social media. So now she's asking me, how do I do this? How do I do that? Can I post this? And if some on somebody else's page, can I post it to my page? How can I get it from TikTok to Facebook and from Facebook to Instagram? So it's just exciting for me to watch her blossom out at this point in time. So yeah, though I'll stop there. But yeah, yeah. My faith, music, my children, my business, my family, basketball. I'll stop at the five. I'll stop at the five.
I love it. I love it. Every bit of it and the detail as well. And I'm seeing that little bit of my wife too. She's trying to learn more. She knows social media, but she want to show her
Yeah.
face more, get on live. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I got your
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You know, I got you. And I already expect them days she could be going live by herself, and I'm like, okay, okay.
hmm
But it's a beautiful thing to have, and amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Seriously, like this is great conversation, great to hear, and the comfort and
Awesome.
joy you can. It speaks for itself what God is doing in your life. So thank you again,
Amen. Amen.
man. So I gotta ask. I need your recommendations. I need a
Okay.
book, a television series, and a movie.
A book, a
Marvin Powell
television
for the people.
series, and a I will admit to you, I am not the most avid reader. However, years ago, one of my coworkers, we were talking about business, and he gave me this book by Earl Graves Jr., who was the owner of Black Enterprise magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the book was called How to Succeed in Business and Not Be White. I believe that's what it's called. And
Look that up myself.
it's all about uh, the mindset that Black people had, that he observed, um, as far as networking is concerned. And one of the passages that stuck out to me is there was a young lady who had graduated from college, and her father knew someone in the industry that she wanted to go in. And he said, I'm going to hook you up with, my buddy. And she said, no, Dad, I want to make it on my own. I want to do my own thing. I don't want to say, I want to have anything handed to me and blah, 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 blah. But it's like that mindset of wanting to do it on our own in other cultures does not exist. If if Bobby graduates from college and Dad says, "Hey, your Uncle Thomas, is in that industry. I'm going to send you to him, and he's going to see what he can do to get you in." It is readily accepted. But we had this no, want to make it on our own type of mindset that he observed, and also the story that stood out where he went to Germany to speak to the head of Mercedes Benz, because they would not advertise with him. And the guy's reason was Black people don't drive our cars. I'm
Mm,
like, what Black people you know? I mean, back then it was all about Mercedes, BMW, like that was it. If you got one of those, you had pretty much arrived. It was a
yeah.
status thing. But he went to talk to him to let him know, like, sir, I'm not sure where you're getting your information from, but Black people love Mercedes. And if you advertise with me, you would definitely see, because my readership are Mercedes buyers. I have a Mercedes. Like, don't discount us because of what you think. Find out for sure. And that book just really, because it was a gift, I really wanted to read it. But it really did kind of help me with the whole networking thing. Like now I find myself doing a lot more, even though I wasn't in business then, I find myself doing a lot more networking now, even with people who are in the same industry as me, uh, that are willing to share knowledge and opportunities.
Mhm.
Um, it's a beautiful thing to see. So, yeah, that's the book. Um, TV series, did you say?
Yes, the television series.
Television series. What television series did I really, really like? I'm kind of mad now that I didn't watch This Is Us.
Oh,
I didn't
right.
watch I didn't watch that series. And here's why. Real quick. Did you watch it?
I started it, but I talk about this. I don't do a lot of dramas, especially fictional
Okay.
dramas. This Is Us
Okay.
gonna have you crying every episode, and I cannot
Yeah,
do.
that's
Woo,
what I hear.
it's
That's what I
great.
hear.
It's
It's
great,
great. Yeah.
but I couldn't. It was a certain part I remember stopping. I like I can't do no more. I can't do no more. Mm-mm.
But there's a scene in the beginning where one of the kids, a little black kid, is taking martial arts, and they go through this sort of a rites of passage thing with the dad, where he's doing push-ups with the boy on his back. I grew up with the guy who they got that from.
Mm.
There is a guy named Jason Wilson, and he's very popular out on social media right now. But Jason has a mentorship program in Detroit called the Cave of Adullam, and he started that. And because they would not give him credit for it, because his clip of that went viral, his clip of that went viral. He was on several TV shows and all of that because of the clip. And then they came out with this TV show and they do it, and I was like, eh, he made the point of letting everybody know, like, y'all do know that they got this from me and they won't give me credit for it. And it wasn't about money, it was just about intellectual property. Like, this
Absolutely.
is this is where we got that from. And so I never watched it because they did not give him credit, and by the time they did, I wasn't interested anymore. So but I'll tell you, there is a series on Netflix that I watch, and it's only 2 seasons, but I've watched it a couple of times, and it's called The Get Down.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It's about
With
about hip
Grandmaster
hop.
Flash.
Yes, about
Hmm.
hip hop. Um, I enjoy that series. I enjoyed that series. The main young man reminds me a lot of my son, so that's why I was kind of drawn into that series. Just a gifted individual, kind of struggling to know which way to go. Um, love my friend, love doing the music thing, but I have this opportunity to go to Yale. What do I do? That whole thing. Coming
Choices.
from the home, the choices, yes, choices, all about choices. And you see in the end how ultimately the choices they made led to their demise, but or to the breaking up of their group,
Yeah.
should I say. Um,
Even with the girlfriend he had, it was
Even with the
choices.
girlfriend he had, it was choices, exactly. But I like that show. There are parts of it I don't care for, but I do like overall that show. Um, and the movie, a movie. I'm going to give you two,
Okay. Your thing.
because I'm going to give you my favorite movie ever. I'm going to give you that one, and then I'm going to give you uh, a movie with my favorite actor.
Hey,
How's that?
we rocking with you.
My favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. Um, it's got to be top three, if not number one. The fact that this guy was able to see his impact on people's lives before he made the tragic decision to end his life, you know, I thought was very impactful. And it's a while I don't think it's something that would ever really happen, it's a wonderful gift to have to see how your life affected people. Um, and when I was probably when I was 3 or 4 years into my marriage, um, we went to my wife and I went to a Bible class where we were asked to write something down about your partner, about your husband and your wife. And my wife wrote that uh, that movie reminded her of me because I didn't know the impact that I had on people's lives.
Mm.
And it really it touched me. It really touched me to, because I didn't realize if I had that type of impact. Um, so that's my favorite movie. And I just love the message in it. But I am a huge Denzel Washington fan. Um, and I'm going to say, I think everybody, if you have not seen it, should see the Book of Eli.
Like, boy, like when I said I know he ain't. I promise you, if I could write, if I would have wrote it down and said, I said he could say Denzel Washington, Book of Eli. It just get that's my one of my favorite movies. That's like my number two between The Color
Yes,
Purple and The Book of Eli. And I'm gonna stop
yes,
talking because I'm gonna hear because the reasons why I talk love The Book of Eli. And it's on. I got it on wax. You can look at previous
really.
videos of me talking about The Book of Eli. Like,
Wow. Yeah, um first of all, the fact that you don't know this guy is blind until you realize the book is Braille. It is, I mean, the acting is
phenomenal.
phenomenal.
And black people don't like
Uh,
it. I'm like, how you don't like this?
man, please. That his portrayal in that movie is uh it's beyond description for me. That, and I love the fact that he's playing a character who is led by his faith, by his faith.
Faith
Everything he does, he
by
gets
faith.
shot and get up and I gotta go west. I gotta make it west. Gotta get west. You know what I'm saying?
Reading going with just a direction. The east
Yeah,
and you
that's where
coming
I was told to
from
go.
and he's being led by just the word. Him and he's
Yes,
been taught the whole time. It's that you got to have one, you got to have both. And
yes,
people know the power of that book.
man, come
People
on.
would people and it showed
And,
that
and they have been manipulating that book since we
that's
got here.
that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. People really did tap it. I tell all my kids I mentor, young people I mentor, the book of Eli. And it's right there. You gotta get because
Yeah.
if you can have that book and don't have the faith.
Yes, exactly.
But you
Exactly.
like and look, and
It's
he
it's
read
nothing but
that book
history. It's nothing but history if you don't have the faith. But
and
when
it
you have the faith, man,
because the stuff we
and
see is
every
still happening to this day. Everything in that
yeah,
book, like you said it earlier, and that's the reason why I said you must. If you didn't say the Book of Eli, you would say, "I said, man, I would have asked you watch the Book of Eli," because you said it at the very beginning. Because you can tie everything back to the Bible,
everything,
everything,
everything, everything.
everything, and
You
that's how I
got a
felt with that film.
conversation that you can't have that you can't find something in the word about it.
Mm, 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 mm.
I mean, not a meaningful one. We can have idle conversation every day,
Yeah,
but when you go meaning, when you're talking meaningful conversation, um, the word has to have a place in it somewhere. And even how he was protected. How remember the scene where he's walking down the street and the guy actually shoots at him,
oh yeah, shoot that past his head, you know,
and he
and
turns around and looks at you think he's looking at the guy. He turns around, and then the guy just kind of like freezes, and he turns back around and gets going on his way. I'm like,
don't forget the whole
this is
shootout he had. He had a complete
yes,
shootout in the middle of the
a
town,
complete shootout,
and the
complete
thing
shootout.
but the point of it is like people, oh, that's impossible. If you don't know the word, you don't know the faith of the Lord. Doesn't the mustard
Bro,
seed. And he
it
was
is
just
the
very
epitome of we walk by faith and not by sight.
absolutely.
It's the epitome of that.
and
It's
but
the epitome.
also how we're so free. He know how he protected it, coveted. Okay.
Yes,
Once
yes.
you break it down to the whole process through what he did, and even on his dying breath, the person who came with him, the person was around other people that was done evil. Okay.
Hmm.
And even
Hmm.
the one henchman that he knew what he was doing was wrong. And he was had to set back at some point when he knew like what he was. I think he had faith, but he didn't have the word. And the main
Right.
the main antagonist, he knew that he said it.
Oh, he
This
knew
is
he knew the power of the book.
oh
He knew the power.
oh, and
He
he
knew the
did
power.
everything. And he sacrificed everything to try to get it to manipulate it.
Yeah,
Everything.
everything,
And
everything.
it showed at the end how much the world they crumbled.
Hmm.
Everything they he
Hmm.
all the stuff he and I tell people your foundation is so important. You can
Hmm.
have a foundation. That is your number one thing. You got to have your foundation. Cause if you build your
Got to.
foundation on sand, oh, it'll crumble at any moment.
It'll crumble every time. Every time. And shoot, I could go, man. Okay, I'm gonna throw this in there. I don't like the last one, but the Matrix series to me
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is very, very deep. Um,
It is.
so I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna stop on that one.
And
But
and I'm gonna throw one more info. I know this is the makings of Marvin, y'all. We're doing the makings of Marvin with everything culture. We just got into talking about it. But when I say this same thing, I feel what he does to a point, not so much biblical, but Denzel in The Equalizer. I just watched number 3.
bro,
I said,
that was
hey,
I was going to say Equalizer 3 before I said Book of Eli. I was going to say Equalizer 3. I promise you. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
like he
Absolutely.
don't want to be this man. Since number 1, he kept saying, I don't want to be this man no more. But they didn't say it in the third one, but in the first one, he said, sometimes you're just gonna be the man that you was made to be. That's what it is. No
Mm,
matter how you try to avoid
mm.
it, you got to do certain things. And I believe when God put you on earth to do something, the more you try to run from it, more you feel out of place.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly.
when you got to step in and be a warrior at times and protect the people in need,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. 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 I was going to say Equalizer 3. Um, again, another masterful performance.
yes.
And when he's sitting in the restaurant, the one where he's sitting in the restaurant and the guys come in and he's
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there looking at the main guy and he says, I'm not from here, but I'm starting to like this place.
Man,
It's like at that moment, like the game has now changed. Y'all, y'all have just woken up the beast. Okay. And he does the little wrist lock or something to
oh
him and
yeah,
says like,
that
"This
pressure
is
for that
this
pain point.
this is just a two. This is just a two. If I take it to five, you're gonna crap your pants or whatever
Yeah,
he
and
says."
we none
It's
of us
like
want that. None of us want that.
nobody wants that. So
And
yeah, that
his
was
attention to detail, his
yes,
consistency. If he
yes,
go start something, he's going to finish it. There's nothing but
absolutely, absolutely,
amazing,
absolutely.
amazing,
Yeah,
man. Hey Marvin, thank you for your book, your television series, as well as your films, man. I guarantee I got to get the book now. I enjoy the books.
yeah,
I mean, I enjoy the television series and the films. So definitely, definitely, definitely. But we're
yeah.
gonna go on
Great
to the
book.
next. Go on to the next question.
Okay.
You have a phone, and this phone have the type of technology now. You can talk to anybody that your imagination would take you. Give me 3 people you would contact,
Wow,
and they have to have a conversation with you too.
wow. Past, present.
Past, present, here, gone, fiction, reality, however you want to put it.
Um, well, we just talked about one. I would call Denzel.
Uh,
I would call. I would want to have a conversation with Denzel. Um, but see, he'd be number one. Number two, um, I would want, if it were possible, to have a conversation with Solomon, King Solomon. Um, the wisdom that King Solomon had, yet the lack of application to him personally. Great ruler over the kingdom, poor ruler over yourself.
Mm.
I want to see where that divide came, because I think that's something that's really common amongst us. We have people who are great men and women, but when it comes to personal choices, it's like, how am I listening to you? Tell me everything wise that I need to do, but you're not doing these things yourself. You know what I'm saying? Uh, how is it you can govern the people, but you can't govern yourself? Where does that lack of processing come in? How does it happen? You know what I'm saying? Because Solomon asked the Most High, give me wisdom to rule your people. He said, you could have asked for riches, you could have asked for fame, but you asked for wisdom. And I'm going to give you wisdom to rule, and I'm going to give you the fame and the riches and all of the other stuff that goes along with being the king. And he was in the Bible the richest man that we know of. Now, some say that Mansa Musa was probably richer than Solomon. We'll never know, will we? um, but it's like you make the most wonderful decisions to govern your people. You have the favor of foreign governments. You build the temple in such a detailed and glorious way, but you keep making these little decisions for yourself that are away from what you believe. Like, you're marrying these women from these other countries in order to have alliance with those countries, but then you're allowing them to put their idols in the temple you built for your God. And you're not supposed to, like, what's going on here, bro? Like, what's happening? I want to know what's going. I want to know what his mindset is. Um,
I love to have him on the show too.
wouldn't that be wonderful? I would definitely tune in for that one. But yeah, so let's say Denzel, let's say um, Solomon. Uh, the third one is a little tricky. It's a little tricky because this is just a personal, would love to have a conversation with this person. I am the biggest Jill Scott fan.
Will you
I am the
match?
biggest, I
Yeah,
am the
she
biggest
gonna be
Jill
on the show. That's in the future. That definitely you would be able to tune in on.
bro. I will fly to Houston and co-host if you get Jill Scott
Nah,
on the show.
this one gonna be to be. We both married, man. This got to be a little bit more intimate.
But that's why you need somebody to help make sure we
Keep
don't
me in
cross no
line. Thank you. You
lines.
know, I
We don't
appreciate you,
cross no
brother.
lines.
Keep us in line. You know, 'cause I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Iron sharpen iron. Seriously, because
exactly.
I'll just be in there.
Uh, exactly,
Well,
exactly.
got shoulder. My
Uh,
bad. My
Great.
bad.
She finished. Next question. Next question,
You're
Drake.
right.
Next
You're
question.
right. You're
No, no.
right. Yeah, we good.
But no, I've always been a big fan of Jill Scott since I saw her on the Chris Rock show back in the day on HBO. I've always loved her music. I've always loved her perspective on love and
Mm-hmm.
relationships.
Same.
And so, I just want to know her mindset, her process for writing the type of stuff she writes. You know,
The roles that she take on.
now, I'm going to be. like I don't like her role in the BET one. I don't like her role in that.
And that's why I gotta ask why. Well,
Why would you
because
take that?
yeah,
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 yeah, because it seems so opposite of who you are.
yeah.
But then again, I don't know you, Jill. This
And
might
that's
be who
why
you are.
she come on the makings of Jill. That's why I say, ooh,
Exactly, exactly.
man, I think it could be a
It's
big
like
one.
Denzel was talking about Training Day, and they were like, "Was it? You see, such a nice guy. It was it hard for you to play Alonzo?" He was like, "Alonzo's more like who I really am."
See, and let me tell you, that's how I
You
was even
just
feeling
never
with.
know.
That's how I was even thinking about with Solomon. If we talk to Solomon, he's gonna be like he's a man at the end of the day.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, he's a man. And again, I see men of influence, men of power and of status fall into the exact same.
Or
So I guess
man,
what I want to know from him is what would you do differently now, seeing how things ended up the way they ended up? What would you do differently? What would you tell your descendants to do differently
mm,
when it comes to having influence, power, money, access to everything? What would you do differently now? So
mm,
yeah,
love it,
yeah,
love it.
I'll stop with those three.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amazing, amazing. Yeah. You doing all right?
I'm great, man. I'm great.
Man, thank you. Seriously, I'm having a great time here. I hope y'all are enjoying us right now. Y'all are listening or y'all are watching the makings of Marvin with Everything Culture. And we gotta ask Marvin, what has been an impactful moment in your life?
An impactful moment in my life. Wow, so many. um, I am going to. I had a conversation with a friend. I am always my own worst critic. And I think we all are to some degree. Um, but I had a conversation, and this was more recently. This was not like something that happened in my childhood, or as a matter of fact, it healed a moment that happened in my childhood, or moments from my childhood. Um, but I had a conversation with a friend, and it was I have always been very uh, critical of my own physical aesthetic. Uh, uh, Not good looking enough, not in shape enough, just not really confident with my own physical appearance. And I was known actually for the church that I was attending. I was known for being um, a real sharp dresser, very sharp dresser. Color combinations uh, that were, that people would not think of, and not like crazy. Like I didn't have like a bright pink suit or anything like that, but but like the accessories, the detail, watches, uh, real bow ties, not the kind that are pre-tied, but the kind you have to tie yourself. Handkerchief combinations, all of that kind of stuff. Very much into the fashion and making sure I looked, you know, um, well presented, but on the inside, very, very insecure about what's underneath the suit, about what's underneath all of this bravado that I had going on. And um, Octavia, actually, we had a conversation, and I can't even give all the details of the conversation, but it really like that young lady is wise.
Very much
Okay.
so.
She
Very
is
much
so
so.
wise. And we had this conversation that when I left that conversation, um, I just had a new perspective on how to look at me. You know what I'm saying? Um, how to actually see myself and to see myself not as others see me, but always look at yourself in the most positive and the best possible light. because if you don't believe it about yourself, nobody else will. Um, so
Don't get me
yeah,
started.
that was, huh?
Don't get
Don't
me
get you started,
started. Let me tell you.
bro. That conversation, man, and that's why that young lady will always be my friend.
Mhm.
Okay, we are genuine friends. Um, and I'm 20 years older than her, but and that's not a common dynamic for friends, especially of the opposite sex. But um, she was just like such a wise and genuine person, and the way she spoke to me, man, just really kind of brought me out of a funk that I had been in, honestly, since I was probably a kid,
Wow. Wow.
you know. But that it was super impactful, super impactful.
Shout out to Octavia. Amazing.
That's I think,
I like,
yeah,
man, hey, I tell folks all the time, you gotta look at yourself how God sees you. Okay.
yes,
And if he made
yes.
you, it'd be, baby, you're beautiful, gorgeous.
He
Now,
he
now I
does
tell,
all things well.
yeah, and I tell now I mess with my other homeboys and guys like unless you I got some brother like we kind of similar with some points, so you can't be we look somewhat alike. You know what I feel me? If it does all tell now you got to watch your mouth when you talking about you, because you talking about us. And when I
Right,
breaking down
right.
the detail as being a man, being a black man, I like one of my series. I'm probably gonna do sports next season, but the season
Okay,
after I was gonna do is we have to talk about the culture of beauty. Okay,
okay, yeah,
and a lot of us, I like talking about even being bald. Okay,
yes,
like
yes.
I took when I first I joke about when I first started. I said like, wait a minute, and then people talk. I said I did it my own self, but I have conversations with gentlemen in their 50s, and now they're
Hmm.
finally going bald or hitting there, and they're like, oh, I can't do it, and this is that, and they're the bit. I see the ones that main would talk about other folks that are going bald, and I joke,
Hmm.
if you keep talking about it, it could happen to you. Be careful, but
Bro.
it's no big. I don't think it's a big deal, because it's part of life. But it's everybody's how they take it on is everyone's differences and how they look at it. It's just how we treat each other.
Let me tell you, when I was a kid, I had the curliest hair you have ever seen.
Thick, you see this beard? It's like
Yes,
right
exactly,
here.
exactly, exactly. I met up with some friends last night I hadn't seen in 35, 40 years, from grade school.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and one of them was like, "You used to have all that big curly hair, da da da." I said, "Yeah, it's gone there, but it grew here."
Hey, just grew down.
Just brought it down. But I used to not like my hair
Mhm.
because people always said you have pretty hair. And I always associated pretty with
Femininity.
female.
Hmm.
So it kind of made me a little, leery of that. And then people made a big deal of it. I didn't like a big deal being made about I didn't like all the fuss. And I honestly felt like at some point I began to curse having my hair with my words.
Hmm.
So at my hairline started to recede. My aunt told me when I was in high school, she said, "Baby, you probably gonna be bald. I can see your college going back." And I said, "Well, we'll see, Auntie, we'll see." And sure enough, my hairline started getting really, really far back. I tried to brush it forward to comb over
I
it,
worked
as,
that.
as long as I could, but cut it low, all of that. And the barber I had at the time is actually my brother-in-law. He says, "Marv, let me just start cutting it low so you can see the shape of your head and you can be comfortable with the shape of your head because it's not going to look bad, I promise you." I said, "Okay." So he started cutting it really, really low. And uh, eventually, uh, well, you know what happened? He passed away. He passed away, tragic car accident one night. Young man too. He was only a couple years older than me at the time. I think I was probably 44. He might have been 46. But he had a bad car accident, ended up passing away. And when I finally found another barber, I was like, you know what? Just cut it off. I'm not gonna worry about trying to fade it out and all that. Just cut it off. And I became, you know, very comfortable with wearing a bald head. And now, sometimes I say, I wonder what would have happened if I had not cursed my hair. If I would
Mm.
have all that, if it would be like silver and, salt and pepper and real curly and all of that, like I would be a mess if I had all that. And but people say, Marv, I just can't imagine you with hair. I just can't. Like, I can't
People that knew me with hair
that.
can't imagine me with hair anymore. I'm like, what are you talking
Exactly,
about? You
exactly.
know,
What do
you
you
see
mean?
me with hair before. We got pictures
Exactly,
together with me full hair. What are you talking about? I was saying this the
exactly.
other day that I was like, God took my hair because I was about to start doing wild stuff with it. It's a style, it's a hairstyle that it's probably called it's similar to the shag. Okay. In
Okay.
Texas, and especially the Dallas Fort Worth, East Texas area, it's called a booty. Okay. Where you it's where and instead of letting shack hangs down, but the
Yeah.
booty you taper it up so it just sticks out. And
Wow.
that was gonna be my haircut I was gonna get. Like, and I was like, you know what? Thank you, Lord. You protect the children. Thank you. No,
Right.
because
I
people
can't
would have
have
got
you
that
walking
on the
around looking like that, son.
yeah, and people would have got that on the internet because pictures don't. This is right when the internet came out. Oh yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
do
This
not die.
still they've been like,
Pictures
is
don't
this
die.
you? But look, but
Yes.
no, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Once again, shout out to Octavia again. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Y'all make sure to check out the makings of Octavia as well here on Everything Culture. Eh, When I say people loved Octavia, like
I
I
can
was
believe it.
like, golly, I was like, no, I know I enjoyed the conversation with Minnie, but I was like, people was like just drawn to her. I got so many more
Exactly,
viewers and
bro.
followers. They were
Exactly.
just they're like, how I found her. I said, well, her information's all out there. You can get it, but
Exactly.
she's an awesome
Exactly.
individual. Like,
See,
and
when I ran across her TikTok page,
yeah,
there was just something that was like, I gotta follow her. I gotta follow her. I mean, she's beautiful, yes, but it was just something in her eyes. And I followed her. And then, I'm starting to promote my business more. And so I said, hey, when I found out she was in local, to
yeah,
me, I was like, hey, you're local. This got to be meant to be. And I asked her, would she mind just doing a promo for me? And she was like, absolutely, I would. And I mean, it's been history ever since. Like people love her promos on my pages. But
awesome.
she is such a genuine spirit, man, that
Beacon of
I can
light.
believe it. Yeah, my wife saw her video. My wife loves her anyway. But when my wife saw her video, she was like, I love her even more after
Wow.
watching the makings of. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, shout out to Wifey for,
Shout
checking
out to
that out.
wifey, man.
Yeah. Man, and it's crazy that she has a doppelganger out there that looks
The other
like her
Octavia.
and name Octavia. I'm like, wait a minute, I end up. I said,
Yeah.
I gotta find a way to differentiate y'all. But nah, this is great. Oh, Marvin, what is your theme song?
Ha ha. What is Marvin's theme song? Uh Again, I have two. I have two.
Go.
Uh Grover Washington Jr.'s Mr. Magic, old old song, saxophone.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, I love that song. It's like that is Mr. Magic is like Mr. Magic. It's like when you walk into the room, like, wow, Mr. Magic, it's a smooth song. It is, but it's smooth, but it's driving. You know what I'm saying? It'll get you going. It's got that beat that gets you going. And probably more recently, The other song that I kind of like for me is uh Bruno Mars. Is it Somebody This Fly or I Deserve to Be with Somebody Like Me? Somebody This Fly. It's on the Silk Sonic.
Y'all about to say
Silk
Sonic.
Sonic CD.
So Bruno
Silk Sonic CD.
Mars and
Yeah.
y'all mad because I like the other guy I love the most. I follow him and I can't think of his name right now. I'm so mad. It'll
Anderson
come back
Paak.
to me in a second. Say it again.
Anderson Park.
Anderson Paak.
Anderson Park.
Man, I love
Yeah.
Anderson Paak.
Yeah.
I know what song
Yeah.
you're talking about though. It'll come to
Yeah.
me.
I think
Um,
like to me that's like the quintessential, like if you feeling yourself like, hey, I deserve to be with somebody
yeah,
like me. You know, somebody as
absolutely.
fly as me. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of my flaws. Sometimes I'm like I'm confident, the confident tap tone that cocky quite a bit, but I'm a humble
Yeah,
person though. I'm a humble person.
exactly,
But once
exactly,
again, I know
exactly,
what the Lord has blessed me with, and everything. So I'm like, hey,
exactly,
just be
exactly.
happy for
And
where
look,
you at.
yo, that's like when I'm clean. That's my when I'm clean. When I got my like when I had the birthday giveaway, when I had the
Yeah, I
jacket and
saw
the
it. I
shirt and
saw
the
it. So you
fedora,
came through.
I played it dead, you know. Like, I played it dead. Like I deserve to be with somebody like me. Now, my wife is more fly than I could ever be.
Hey,
But
blessings, blessings.
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, that's my jam. That's my jam.
Hey. So Marvin, who represents your community of support?
Definitely my wife. Definitely my wife. She is probably the sole reason I even have my business.
Mm,
She pushes me. She drives me to be better all the time. Um, it's like she sees the me that I want to be and is trying to help me get there. You know what I'm saying? Trying to help me get there. And let me say this, Danny brothers might be watching. Excuse me. When you have a wife that believes in you and she's pushing you and she is really trying to get the best out of you, that's not nagging. That's a help me.
yes.
That's a help me. And I have a great help me. Um, my parents, of course, big supporters. Uh, and they've supported me not only in my business, like my parents don't ask for discounts, they just buy my product.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I'm
amazing
saying?
to have. Let me tell you that.
Like they just buy the product. Like, hey, how much is a dozen turtles? All right, bring them to me. You know, but they have been supportive through everything, through uh, my life, through my marriage, through my schooling, through everything. They are just pillars. They're jewels. When my son turned 6 months old, my mom was like, "He's mine every weekend." So while a lot of our friends were trying to find babysitters, we never had to find a babysitter. My mom had the kids, and when my daughter came along, took my daughter to, it was like for 11 years we didn't have. It was whatever we wanted to do Friday night, because we didn't have no children on
Mm,
Fridays. But they are wonderful supports. My former church family is a great support. A lot of them still keep in contact with me, just to see how I'm doing, see where I'm at, what's my direction, all that kind of stuff. Uh, Octavia is a big support to me, just mentally, as a friend. Um, I do have, um, I've got a few friends. I've got a few people that are like in my close circle of friends. Um, my boy Mike, I grew up with. Him and his parents are like my another family, and another set of parents, another brother. My brother, my actual brother, of course. Uh, my best friend in the world. Her name's Priscilla. She is, you know, we talk a lot about, she's an entrepreneur herself. We talk a lot about business, a lot about networking. Um, uh, we pray for each other, you know, uh, as with all my circle. If you're not praying, you can't be in my circle. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to be able to be like, hey, I need your prayers on this one, and you got to be able to say, I got you. You know. So if you can't pray, you can't be in my circle, and that's not saying I don't love you and we can't hang out, but you're not gonna be in the inner circle
Say
if you
that
can't get a
is
prayer through.
that is
You
trill
know.
spill. You know, I had a check. I had to say check, but we had a friend that went through some stuff, and I said we got to pray. Stop gossiping. Stop gossiping.
Yeah.
Stop gossiping.
Yes.
Especially, I'm talking to my men. Like I talk to everybody, but I say, guys, guys don't understand a lot of things we do is gossip. You know,
Exactly.
and I
Exactly.
said we got to pray for them, and legit, friends like 35, and so like honestly, I don't know how to pray. I like I was floored, but I had to pray. I had to pray to teach this brother how to pray and go
How to
forward,
pray.
to
Yeah.
pray for us and going
Yeah.
forward. Like
Yeah.
building that relationship again. Like, this is what
Hmm.
we have to do. And like you said, you need those. We need that. I
Yeah.
don't know if you listen to Kendrick Lamar, but man, one of my favorite lyrics from him, ain't nobody praying for me. Both my grandmas are dead. And
Yes.
it that when I like
That's
when it
deep.
first when I first heard that, I like, ooh,
That's deep.
ooh, if
That's
you don't
deep.
have like a lot of people don't understand some of their main people. Like we still a lot of my cousins still living off my grandmother's grandfather's prayers,
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
should not be where we're at in life today, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
about the grace of God and for the people who love us. But man, you don't get me
Absolutely.
on here and start oh don't get
But
me
that's what it
on.
is, man. That's what it is. I mean, like we talked about faith early on. I can't have that be a big part of my life and my friends not be able to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? You have to be in some way connected. Um, my dad used to make me pray.
Mm.
He used to make me pray for the family. He used to make me pray over the like when we had holiday dinners. Marvin say the prayer, and I'm like, why I got to say the prayer? But it taught me how to do it. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
I tell my son because my son is not as expressive verbally as I am. But I tell him, I say, hey man, you listen to dad pray. Dad been praying for 50 years. I've been praying since I was a little boy. And my dad made sure I prayed. Now, I didn't push that the way he pushed it on me to you, but you don't have to pray like me. You just have to pray.
Say that.
You
Say
just
that.
have to have that conversation. You just have, you know, you don't have to, dad knows how to, this part of my gift. I know how to string those words together. I know how to, I
You
pray
don't
in churches, so I know how to do that.
you
But
don't need the
you don't have
theatrics
to do that.
sometime will come with it. Say it from your heart. That's a lot of people pray.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
not
Exactly.
saying when if you can, put it together so eloquently, hey, that's perfect.
Do
But
so.
man, do yeah,
But if
exactly. But
not,
if you because trust me, I've had some prayers. I was like, hey, like I think we got the message, but at the same
yeah.
and like it's something because I've seen people do it for show, and I've seen people
Yes.
that do it because
Yes.
absolute like, from their heart mission.
Yeah.
And that goes from that faith and your connection with the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit. But man,
Absolutely.
I always tell people, but you have to know how to have that connection with God. That's what prayer is.
Absolutely.
It's just like having that
Absolutely.
phone number. You got to dial, and some people don't attempt to do so. Um,
Hmm.
but woof, woof, woof. This
When I'm
this is
praying, man, and we'll move on, but when I'm praying and I'm doing like a corporate prayer or I'm leading a corporate prayer, there's something that happens.
mm,
There's something that happens that I can feel happening that will determine whether or not I keep pushing this or if I stop. you know, because again, I don't want to just be stringing together eloquent sayings and scriptures and all of this and it not be what is needed at the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to feel what's needed at the moment, and the spirit will give that to you, what's needed at the moment. Um, there have been times when I've been praying corporately for a group of people, and I can feel pushback. So I just stop and say, okay, what's the pushback? Literally, what am I feeling? I'm feeling pushback. Who's pushing back? What's going on? What's the mindset of the group right now? Everybody talk to me. Somebody say something, and they'll come and say, "Well, you said earlier this, that, and the other, and I just need to know." And so we deal with it at that point. You know what I'm saying? But the Spirit will give you what's needed in the moment when you're praying, and that's what you really have to rely on, not your knowledge and not your ability to speak well or to recall Scripture, but to be in communication with the Spirit. That's what it's all about.
Ooh. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, y'all. Y'all are now tuning in to the makings of Marvin with Everything Culture. This has been a blessing of a conversation. I can say that first and foremost. But we're gonna take a
Agreed.
quick break and we'll be back with y'all shortly. We appreciate y'all greatly. See y'all soon. Welcome back, beautiful people. We're here once again with the makings of Marvin with Everything Culture. And Marvin, we'll get right back into the next question.
Okay.
If you had a biopic that was coming out and you was able to help direct it, who would be the main or the co-director? Who would you choose? Who would you have play you?
Wow.
And what network would it come on? Or would it go into the movie theater? How would you want to put it together?
um. Hmm. Wow. Good question. Um. Honestly, co-director would probably be Denzel.
Good
I
choice.
think his I think his feel for displaying emotion and feeling, and he's a family guy. We have similar belief systems. I think he would be great to. I think he would be great to help direct or co-direct it. Uh, who would play me?
Who would be
Wow.
playing Marvin?
Uh, man, uh, that's a really good question. Uh, I don't readily identify. Maybe Morris Chestnut if he put on 50 pounds. um, uh, you know what? I don't know this gentleman's name, but he played. He was in Law and Order. Well, you know what? Let's scratch that. Um, I think Blair Underwood.
Brandonwood. Okay, okay,
I think Blair
okay.
Underwood. Yeah, I think Blair Underwood would be a good person to play me. Um, he's another guy who I like. I think his acting chops are amazing. Um, I like. He's seriously. Remember the series L.A. Law back in the day?
Yeah.
He had me considering going to college to be a lawyer.
Look at that. Look,
Um,
the influence.
the influence.
Love it.
And like whenever I've seen him, award shows, uh, talk shows, whatever, he always represents himself so well. He always is the personification of class. Uh, and back in the 80s, there was a movement going on, and it was an apology from black men to black women. It
Hmm.
was called Sister, I'm Sorry. And it was like, for doing this, doing that, da da da. Sister, I'm sorry. And he was one of the main, uh, one of the main celebrities behind that. And I always love that about him. So yeah, Blair Underwood, I think he would represent, be able to capture, I think, who I am really, really well. Um,
Okay. You get some
yeah.
heavy hitters in this already. Okay.
Hey man, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it good. um, as far as where it would come out, I would probably I would probably put it in the theaters. I probably wouldn't on television. I would
Okay.
probably put it in theaters.
Big
Yeah.
screen,
Uh,
big ticket. We rock with it.
big
We rock with
screen. Yeah, and that might be ambitious,
it.
but I
Listen,
I I I think those are, I think those are stories that are worthy of major, if we can watch uh all this fictitious, if we can watch Marvel, if we can watch John Wick, and I'm not knocking those things. Uh like to me, a movie that flies under the radar that was phenomenal was John Q.
no.
You
Yes,
know,
yes, yeah. It-
I
but
love those types of stories. To me, those are the things that really capture me. I cried in that movie. I went to see that movie by myself. I
I still got the
cried.
DVD, as you should.
Facts, me too.
Like, but I love it's so much black trauma that we see,
Yes,
and
yes,
to see on a film about a black man that has an upbringing, that a parent has morals, values, and is growing in
yes,
life, and have a relationship with his father, like he was saying, just the story and how you can
yeah,
be, go into, from playing basketball to working hard to going to a business of their own and building customer service and talk about their emotional intelligence and growth and their feelings. I think
yeah,
that's a beautiful thing and have a relationship with God too. I think that
absolutely.
and tell them what all the ins and outs that you've been through in life and those little details in it,
Right,
but just more than
right.
that one impactful moment of sharing and building a relationship. I think that's an amazing thing for people need to see. So,
Yeah,
not just like, oh, a failure or some pain or you had to play a sport. You can be a human being that's here to build family and love and life and go from there and from that perspective and representing
and
Detroit
su-
too. Because like
and success is so relative, man. Success is relative. Wealth, I
that's
think, is relative. You
yes.
can't tell me I'm not wealthy.
Yes. Yeah. These are
you you
conversations
know.
that we have with people all the time that because you've seen some people that consider wealthy and rich and happy take their own life.
Hmm. Exactly,
How wealthy,
exactly.
yeah, and I just be mindful of what you have and what you've been blessed with. So,
Indeed,
yes, absolutely,
indeed, indeed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Marvin, this is a would you rather,
Okay.
right? Would you rather go back in time and speak to your younger self, or would you rather have your future self come and talk to you now?
Wow. Wow. Um, I would probably go back in time and talk to my younger self just to reassure him he's going to be fine.
Yeah,
You're going to be all right, my boy. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be fine. Uh, let him know that the decisions you're making now worked out for you. They really did. So,
awesome.
yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. So, got a few more questions. All right, we rocking and
Okay.
rolling. We rocking and rolling. So,
Yes, sir.
if you could have any meal at the snap of your fingers, what meal would it be, and who would prepare it for you?
Ah, the chef would be Gordon Ramsay. I love that guy. As harsh and as belligerent as he can be, love that guy. Um, Gordon Ramsay, I would have undoubtedly um, a steak, uh, tomahawk ribeye, um, with a sweet potato mash. Um, Scratch that. I want Gordon to make me some lamb chops.
Okay, we chopping it up. There we go. All right.
Yeah, lamb chops. Yeah, Gordon Ramsay lamb chops, balsamic vinegar reduction. Um, Still go with the sweet potato mash, and I gotta have his risotto. Gotta have his risotto, and I have to have uh veggies. Veggies, whatever. Um, Probably asparagus. Uh, but yeah, I gotta have him do those lamb chops for me.
You about to make me go pick up some lamb chops tonight. You done messed up. Like, gosh.
Bro, you know what? We went out to dinner, sidebar, went out to dinner with some friends of mine a few weeks ago, and I had the lamb chops at this Italian place. And when I tell you they were the best lamb chops I have ever had, oh, just magnificent. And if Gordon is who Gordon is, his got to be better than theirs. So I want Gordon to make me those lamb chops.
I got into sous videing right before the pandemic,
Okay,
and
okay,
learning that how to just because lamb can be gamey at times. Okay. And
absolutely, it can.
you season it, you sous vide it for that right amount of time, that temperature needs to get it. I got the torches. I gotta look for my torches. I got all these things to go with it. Magnifique. So I'm not saying
Yeah, yeah.
Gordon, but we do the thing with the
No, I feel
lamb
you
over
though.
here. We do
We
the
do the
thing with the
thing.
lamb.
Absolutely,
Love it.
absolutely.
So you're a busy guy. It sounds like you got something going on from family to career to business. How do you relax?
Hmm. When I can, I do nothing. Like sit on the couch and watch. But Sundays, I sit on the couch. I watch football. Um, Saturdays, honestly, we are a traditional Sabbath keeping family. It goes along with the Hebrew, with the Israelite tradition. Seventh day, which is on your calendar, Saturday is the seventh day. So Saturday, we do nothing. We relax. We may do some Bible teaching in the family, maybe watch some teaching videos and things like that. Saturday is our day to really, going back again to the Bible, says 6 days shall you toil, but on the seventh day you should rest. So we take a rest day, and I mean, honestly, I go hard Sunday through Friday. I do, I make product on Sunday. I make deliveries on Sunday. Um, but Saturday is my rest. And uh, on Tuesdays, which is a passion I got to mention. If you look at me, take that page, you see bowling. On Tuesdays, I'm in a bowling league. And if I can schedule what I need to do around the bowling league, that's what I do. I schedule like product deliveries. I schedule around the bowling league if I can.
I
I
be peeping. I be
love
peeping
to
it.
bowl.
Yeah, I be making it happen. I'm just seeing the lives.
Yeah, man, I love to bowl, man. So that is that I gotta add that, make that number six on my
To the
passion. But
passions, yes.
yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. So those are my relaxings, man. Saturday and Tuesday evenings when I go bowl, you know. And I guarantee you this, while I'm bowling, my wife is sending me a text on something I need to do after I'm done. So, so I
Hey,
relax
man,
while I'm there
I got some
and
things to
business back
do.
to,
I got some things to do
yeah,
as soon as we done with this. So,
as soon as we get done. Exactly. Exactly.
but, hey, shout out to the wives, man. Shout out to the wives.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Marvin, how do you want people to remember you?
Hmm. Um, I want people to remember me as um, a loving, warm, respectful, giving, generous, uh, family man, man of God, uh, who would do whatever he could for you if he could do it. You know what I'm saying? I want people to remember me as I want people to remember me as a great human being. I'm a person that has not a lot of men have a lot of women. I'm a person that I've always endeavored to be a safe haven for women need sometimes a male perspective. They need a man they can come to and talk to that will take advantage. And I've always endeavored to be uh, so I want to be remembered as a guy who could be trusted with a person's heart, trusted with a person's emotions.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Marvin, what changes do you want to see in your culture?
More love,
Mm,
just more love, one to another, brother to brother, brother to sister, genuine true love, um, concern for our well-being as a people. Uh, I want to see young people value themselves above the dollar.
mm,
You know what
mm.
I'm saying? Um,
Absolutely.
I want I want to see young ladies know that there is no price that a man can pay for your body.
Mm,
I don't care if he buys a Birkin. I don't care if he flies you out. I don't care um, if he puts the most expensive thing in your hand and say it's yours. Your body, your peace of mind, your heart is worth more than all of that put together. I want to see young people value themselves. I want to see our generation teach young people to value themselves. I know my value because someone told me my value. Stop telling these kids they're worthless. They ain't gonna be nothing. If you see the path that they're going, that's gonna take them down, try to steer them clear of that path. Stop declaring their demise before they've had a chance to live. That's love. We gotta love each other, man. Our people gotta. That's all we got. We all we got in this world.
I got
I'm
to recommend.
sorry. I don't want to get canceled, but nobody cares about us. We have to. Right?
Marvin, here with Everything Culture in our community. How can we support you?
Wow. Um, Good question. I will say that first of all, you are building something that is extremely supportive in nature, in its nature to get people's stories out, to um, promote the images that you promote, um, to tell the stories that you tell with the CPS stories, things like that. I think that is a great way to provide support, not just for me, but for our community. And when you support our community, you're by default supporting me. Um, to support Marvin and Marvin's endeavors. This podcast is phenomenal. I think it is a great step to supporting me and what I do in my business, what I do personally, what we endeavor to do, even from a ministerial standpoint, to serve our community, which you will be seeing very, very soon. Um, if you've seen some of my content, some of it is what I like to call sharing wisdom, um, biblical wisdom. But you're going to get ready to see you're going to start to see much more of a push toward me really directing people to the Father. That is what I'm called to do. The business is wonderful. It is it's a labor of love, but my wife and I have this desire to see families reestablished, to see, and I'm talking about the traditional family, husband, the wife, the children. We have a desire to see that that structure reestablished. We have a desire to see that structure remain intact because you see there's so many people that are easily walk away from their marriages now. I always say that there are no irreconcilable differences. There are people who won't reconcile. So we have to get to the point where you have to decide uh, what's the most important thing, my pride and being right, or keeping my unit together. you know, a lot of couples are separating because of pride. There have been some, there have been some valid reasons. I'm not talking about infidelities, and I'm not talking about
Abuse and
uh,
neglect,
huh,
misdirection. Abuse and neglect,
abuse,
misdirection.
neglect,
Yeah.
misdirection, narcissism, gaslight, all that kind of stuff. That's there. But sometimes you have people who just won't give up their point and allow that to separate. And sometimes you just have to say, it's not that important. My
What's
pride is not.
topics? You see, that's a whole different conversation that people ain't ready
Whole
for.
different conversation.
It's a
But you're
song
going
by
to start seeing that.
LTD. It's a song by
Hmm.
LTD. Where did we go wrong? That's been on
Where did we go
repeat.
wrong? Yeah,
Man, and it's
exactly.
like, where
Yeah,
did we go? And it doesn't matter who was right or wrong. Only thing, let's
yes.
fix it. But like, it doesn't. I can be to blame. Whatever. Let's fix it.
Yeah,
But
let's
some
fix
people
it.
so
Let's fix it.
some people so pent up on who's the point the finger at. And if we
Right.
take that concept, talking about marriage, talking about relationship, talking about love, and put that to everyone in our community, how much growth we
Hmm.
can make. Let's make it work. Let's
Yes.
grow. Let's talk
Let's
about the
grow.
solution rather than the controversy.
Well, we know what the problem is. How do we get past it?
Mhm.
Let's stop pointing fingers on who caused the problem. Bottom line is it's here. And if it's here, more than likely we both take some part in that problem manifesting, growing, and becoming the monstrosity that it's become in our relationship. So let's both take accountability and let's find out how we get past it.
But accountability is hard, and some people don't want to put that work in. But we go table that for the future conversation. But Marvin, you've done it. You did it. You've completed the makings of you with everything coaching.
Wow. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank
No
you,
problem.
sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But last question, Marvin,
Yes.
if the people are looking for you and you're trying to be found, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on TikTok at not just a guy named Marvin. They can find the chocolate experience at the chocolate underscore experience on TikTok. That is my business, which we talked a little bit about here. And those same two tags on Instagram, not just a guy named Marvin, and the chocolate underscore experience on Instagram. If you're Facebook, Marvin D. Powell, find me there. And you also can find the chocolate experience there too. But
Hey,
we keep it simple. We keep it simple.
love it,
Try to
love
keep
it.
it common across the board, you know?
I know how it goes. Trust me, trust me. And that's how we
Hmm.
do it. Everything culture, y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. We thank y'all for listening. And it's everything culture. That's with an A, no I.
Yes,
Okay, we're very
yes.
East Texan around here, but we want to say thank you again, Marvin, for joining us for this
Sure.
conversation and
It
sharing
was my
yourself with
pleasure.
us. Like this has been. Thank you for your patience too. You know, you was with me
Absolutely.
through the whole move, but we here now. We're back in the great state of Texas, and we want to continue to support you and we value your experience. We value that your talents. Hey, when the package making in, trust me, you'll be getting the video from me as well. So again, so
Bro, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
and I was like, oh, every day I look out the porch, go to the mailbox. I'm like, dang. And
Bro, it's
I went and looked again. I said, did I give him the right address? I was like, but it'll
you know
come.
what? I reconnected with a good friend yesterday.
Mhm.
We connected through Facebook, but we actually were singing partners in grade school for a talent show. And she came to town and she was like, I gotta see you. Haven't seen her in 40 years.
Wow.
So but we hooked up and we talked and I was telling her about, me sending you the package and it's not being here because she worked for the postal service for a long time.
Mhm.
And she told me, she said, Marvin, the only thing that is guaranteed is express. Priority is not guaranteed to be there when it says, but express is. And I'm like, okay. So it's kind of a get there when it gets there. But think now, we got a holiday too, so it's a whole nother day you
Hey.
gotta wait,
Hey,
man. And
I'm
that's
gonna I'm gonna go check my
ugh.
mailbox again. It's Sunday, but I'm still gonna have hope. But
Well,
I still
it's a nice size box. It's not gonna fit in your mailbox
okay.
unless
So
your
it should
mailbox
come
is
on the
huge.
porch.
It'll come through the
So
door. Yeah,
we're excited. I know the wife will enjoy it too. Both and I, and
absolutely.
we'll make sure we support. We big on supporting our people. But man, overall, we
Appreciate
want
it.
to say thank you again. And
Yes, sir.
you
My
know,
pleasure.
y'all make sure to check out Marvin. Y'all make sure to check out the chocolate experience. But we gotta say once again, thank you so much, man. Much love,
Man, my
and
pleasure. My pleasure.
we
My pleasure.
we, we definitely would talk to you more in the future. I definitely can fit you in some more episodes that your opinion and your lived experience will be absolutely valued. But
I am more than happy to do so, brother. More than happy to
yeah,
do so.
I want to say everybody, thank y'all again for tuning in. God bless and peace.
Peace.